Yeah, just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today, and especially my good friend Scott Yablonsky. Mr. Yablonsky and I go back some 30 plus years, and Scott has started in the engineering department with Nordberg, and got into the application engineering, and then since worked his way into distribution management. And I have to say, Scott's one of the most effective managers that's operating in our industry because he has that knowledge and experience with understanding plant process and plant flow, and can add so much value when you talk about the equipment as well as the applications and what customers are looking for. So I don't know who your boss is, Scott, but I think you might need a raise. So we'll see if we can get you an increase at some point. But because it's all in one. You get the engineering, you get the applications experience, and then you also get the distribution management part. So we're very proud to work with Scott, and Scott works for the #1 company and in our industry when it comes to crushing and screening. So with that, I want to hear a little bit more about some of the nuances of crushing and screening with Metso. So Scott, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. If Tim would allow me to share my screen, I'll be ready to go. Tim, if you don't mind, let me share my screen. I'm currently not allowed.
Let me check on that, because I thought for sure you were a presenter. So hold on a moment.
Do you know anything about computers, Scott?
I know a little bit less than my crushing and screening experience. But when you're not in control, you're not in control. And we have control.
There you go. Sorry about that, Scott.
No problem.
Take it away.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. We appreciate your time. And we're going to go into the Mellott Lunch and Learn. The agenda, thanks for the introduction, Rich. We're going to go through the Metso Liveroom. We're going to go through a newer product, not a newest product, but a newer product called the HRC8. We're going to give you an Ag 1 update. That starts on Monday, which includes our newest and greatest HP, which is an HP 350E, and E stands for evolution. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Metso Liveroom. It's our state-of-the-art overview of track-mounted crushers and screens, along with aftermarket, marketing, training, etc. So when you type in live.metso.com, this is the screen that comes up. We have our Loco track and we have our Nord track. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the Loco track. So this is our Liveroom. It's the state-of-the-art way to market our machinery, in addition to all of the technical specifications, what the machine does, what the size, the capacity, all of that is included. So we can go around the room with our mouse and we can go all 360 degrees around. We can also look at the products on this list right here. We have all our machines, the screens, we have impact crushers, we have jaw crushers, cone crushers, and screens, etc. This is how we make big rocks into little rocks. So we look at this ST 2.3, which means screen on tracks. LT is a Loco track, which is basically crusher on tracks. We didn't call it a CT, unfortunately. And we can click on anything and find out about it. This is a jaw crusher, the first jaw crusher in the process. You can just click on it, look at it in 3D, and we can rotate it along as quickly as it loads, which is pretty quick. It's about 5 seconds. So we can go around the machine. And anything you have a question on, similar to, say, the jaw itself, and you can see the jaw in action. That's how it works. There's also information. Let me go back into this. Anything that you guys want to know about this machine is in here. You want to know about the feeder, which the feeder is basically sitting right here. You load the material on here. The feeder lets the smaller stuff go by because you don't want to crush smaller stuff because it's already small. So the rock goes into the hopper here. It goes over a grizzly feeder is what they call it. And the bigger stuff goes into the crusher, comes down and comes out this conveyor and feeds on to the next process part of the unit. And we can go back around. We can look at say, an ST 2.8, which is right there. This is a cone crusher, another cone crusher with a scalping screen, which means you can get rid of the small stuff before it enters into the crusher. Let's go into, say, a screen now. And this E nomenclature indicates it's a diesel electric. You can either push a button and start the diesel engine, or you can plug the machine in to the electric grid. It's basically like plugging in your TV. That's how it goes. This is the power source. We would plug it in and run the machine. We have marketing, we have training, we have parts, we have a promotional shop in here. We have services, screen media. So this is a one-stop shop for any track-mounted crusher or screen need that Metso provides. So that is what we call the live room. I'll go into one other machine and then we'll move on to the next portion of the program. So this, we can see YouTube videos. We have remote IC, which is a remote way to control the machine. Technical specifications on anything and everything on the machine. So like I indicated, anything and everything you want to know about this Locotrack and or Nordtrack crushing and screening is included in this live room. And it's very, very interactive. Just like anything else on the internet, it's the way to go. Services is down here. You can hit a map to look at what you would actually like to review in the live room. Jaw crushers, impact crushers, screens. We have a marketing table, training, the gallery. So this is a perfect way to, at midnight, take a look at what we have to offer. And then you can call up Mellott, ask them any questions that you have. So we'll move off of the Liveroom and we'll go on to the next portion of the program, which is our HRCE. So this is the way we're going to do it. Metso Liveroom, we just did it. HRC8, then we'll talk about Ag 1, and then we're going to introduce the 350E at Ag 1. So first, we're going to talk about this HRC8 crusher, which is one of the simplest crushers that we offer. This is the way it's manufactured. We have two motors. We have a feed chute that guides the material in between the rolls, and I'll get into how this works later. Motors and reducers turn the rolls, drawing a bed of ore or material into the crushing zone. So material goes in here via a conveyor, and then it gets crushed in between these two rolls, and hydraulic cylinders apply the pressure to the crushing zone. Here are some basic dimensions. The rolls themselves are 32 by 20. They take two twin 100 horsepower motors. It's about 13 tons. The RPM of this machine maximum is 30 RPM. This thing is very, very slow turning, very safe. The only detrimental portion of this machine is it can only take a rock that's 1.25 inches big or smaller. Nothing bigger can fit into the chamber. And the tonnage through the machine is 60 tons per hour to 90 tons per hour. This is the way the machine works. Bed of material comes in between the two rolls. This one goes counterclockwise, this one goes clockwise. And a ribbon of material comes out the bottom. You apply pressure from one roll, the other roll is static. The more pressure you put onto this machine, influence reduction. The more speed you add to this machine, where you would turn this roll a little faster, it influences throughput or tons per hour through the machine, which would be production. The best part about this machine is it takes everything, all in feed. Usually crushers do not like fines because it's already fine material. So why put already fine material into a crusher? You would bypass that machine and put it into a stockpile where you would have a pile of the same size rocks. So you can put anything into this machine. We have high abrasiveness, low crushability. You can put moisture in it. A lot of crushers don't like moisture. A lot of crushers don't like fines in the feed. A lot of crushers don't like clay or sticky feed. This machine can do it all. Like I said, the only limitation is the tons per hour or the production. It's flexible. It makes good shape. Very difficult applications. Very low energy consumption, low vibration, no noise. This is one of the simplest machines that we offer. For instance, if this is the feed to the crusher, both of these types of materials, and it's very small. This is millimeters. So you know how small 2 millimeters is. It's like that. We can reshape material because most customers like cubical material. They like a roll, dice, 2 rolls. This is the material coming out. You can see in here that these are flat and elongated. What this material will do, or excuse me, what this crusher will do is knock the edges off of this material and make it cubical. The other well-run application for this crusher is recrush unsaleable material into saleable sizes. So if you happen to have, say, something called a 57, which is 1.25 inches by 1/2 inch size rock, and you can't sell that rock, well, put it in this machine and you can sell it. You can put 1.25 inches in, get 1/2 inch out, and that's a saleable material in most cases. We'll have a quick review of what speed and the speed and pressure does to this machine. So this is the feed curve. And as you can see, it doesn't matter whether you're at 13 RPM, 17 RPM, or 28 RPM. The rock comes out about the same size. This machine is also standard with automation, and we'll get into that in a second. Same feed material, 1.25 inches by 0, same speeds. However, this does about 60 tons an hour. A little faster does a little more, and even faster does a lot more tons per hour through the machine. So there's no effect on the discharge curve, but on the capacity of the machine.
Scott.
Yes, sir.
Setting control. Is there a setting control similar to what you might see on a cone crusher or a jaw crusher, or is it just based upon pressure?
It's based upon pressure only. There is no closed side setting as a conventional cone crusher, jaw crusher, impact crusher. It's based upon speed and pressure. And we also like this machine to be choke fed. Every crusher likes to be choke fed. What choke feed means is full. We'd like the whole entire chamber full of material so we can get rock on rock crushing, or something called interparticle comminution. If you get anything out of this class, interparticle comminution is the term, where we have rock on rock breaking through this chamber, but it's not just the rolls crushing the material, it's the rock pressing against each other in this machine and coming out finer. Excuse me, coming out finer. So this is the feed. This is where it gets crushed the most. But here, it's starting to crush with rock on rock. And you can tell this is a larger rock than it is coming out. And that's the goal. And you can see how fine this feed is going into the machine. So it's going to do whatever you put in it. It's going to crush it. As I indicated earlier, it comes with an automation package. It allows you to monitor speed, pressure. This icon allows you to operate with the motor speed, the power, and the feed rate, along with the cylinder pressure. This icon monitors the crusher, motor bearings, temperatures, pressures, and windings. And the log shows details of the machine's operation. This machine wears in the middle for the most part. So after 5 millimeters between the edge and the middle of the machine, you must take a grinder out and grind the sides out, because it's going to start crushing not so regularly. And there's an example of one of our portable plants. Here's the feed chute that I mentioned earlier. It would fall through this machine, go onto the conveyor, either to a screen or under the ground. And that's the HRC8. Very simple, very versatile machine versus a jaw crusher and a cone crusher. We would use this possibly in place of a VSI. We could use this possibly in place of an HP cone crusher in a tertiary or quaternary position, which would mean the third or fourth crusher in the stream. And the way things work in a quarry is you start with a grizzly feeder, you go into the primary crusher, you go over a screen, you go to another crusher, you go to a screen, you go to another crusher, and then you close circuit on that machine. Closed circuiting means whatever doesn't fall through the screen will go back to the crusher to be recrushed. Next on the agenda is Ag 1. That starts on Monday, March 25th, and lasts to Wednesday at noon. In Nashville, Tennessee, Metso's booth is number 511. It's a 20-foot by 20-foot booth. This show is going to have over 400 exhibitors and 11,000 attendees. Here's a map of the floor plan of the booth layout. Metso is going to be where the star is, and happy to say that Mellott's right next door in booth 402. Here's a look at what our booth is going to look like. We're going to have 3 kiosks, one for capital, one for screening solutions, and one for aftermarket. We're also going to have a 350E, HP 350E in the booth as well, along with monitors for videos and presentations. Here's a detailed explanation of what's going to be at each booth. The biggest item in the booth is going to be our HP 350E, and I'll explain that machine in a moment. Kiosk number 1, the capital. We're going to have 3D printed HRC model, which I just presented, the HRCE. We're going to have Locotrack and mobile equipment, brochures, modules, an overhead monitor displaying video of the HP 350E crushing. Our second kiosk, screening solutions including media and parts. We're going to highlight our newly launched screen series with a 3D printed model, our newly launched SCSH and CXH, which is the initials for our new SH and XH launch, which is the Ripple Flow SH and Ripple Flow XH Spadala screens being relaunched, which will be our North American screen line. We have metrics for screens, which metrics means it'll monitor the temperatures and pressures on the screen. It'll check for racking and irregular motion. And we'll also have screening media, which will portray on a video. Thirdly, our third aftermarket kiosk, we're going to have services, metrics for aggregates, which metrics is a way to monitor the way the machine is running. Similar to this metric for screens, we have metrics on crushers, Locotracks, screens, etc. Crusher wares offering, we have an HP 3D printed wares. We have 3D printed upgrade kits for the HPE, which I'll get to in a second. And we have a Simon's 3D printed model. Contender Series is an offering that we can supply parts for the Sandvik type machines. So our customer launch event, we're very excited to launch the HP 350E. Please join us at booth 511 at 3:30 on Monday. We're going to have refreshments and music starting at 3. We're going to have a welcome program by our VP of Americas, Steve Cianci. We're going to have the HP 300E cone crusher introduced by our product manager, Ilka Samero. We're going to have our screen launch by our general manager, Travis Schultz. We're going to talk about metrics with Mira Terni from Finland as well. She's the VP of Aftermarket. And then we're going to have some closing comments by Steve, followed by music, refreshments, and networking for 30 minutes. So we're going to be there for a good hour. Please join us. Now the excitement is here. The Nordberg 350E. HP 350E. What is this HP 350E? It's a newly designed crusher that is a sister crusher to the HP 200E that we launched last year at ConExpo. So this is a 200 horsepower. This is going to be 350 horsepower. The next one in line will be an HP 450E. And after that is a 600E. I think that the 350E will be second in line, the 600E will be third, and the 450E will be fourth. Now, what's this E stand for? It stands for evolution. The HP 350E, it compares to an HP 300 very, very closely. It's an identical footprint. It has identical dimensions. However, there's more features and options that are on the 350E versus our HP 300 that was designed in the late 80s. So we've come 30 some years to this HP 350E, and it's a great addition to our portfolio. So what's this 350E? We used to have an HP 300, which isn't going away, but we have this HP 350E that we're offering that has much more increased and wonderful features that we'll get into in a few minutes. The difference between the 350E and the 300 mainly is 300 horsepower versus 350 horsepower, which is 17% more power. We have 10% more head motion. What head motion means is the head inside the crusher goes like that. If there's 10% more movement or stroke in the machine, 93 millimeters versus 84. We have some new chamber designs, which means the liner's inside the crushing cavity, and we have 20% more force, which translates into up to 10% more performance in the secondary, including its tertiary crusher. Secondary is the second crusher in the line, the tertiary's in the third position. As I mentioned before, rock comes in the top here and fills this cavity and gets crushed between these two members. This is called the mantle, this is called the bowl liner. And now we have 10 different chamber profiles versus 8 in the HP 300. We have 2 revised and enhanced profiles, the coarse and extra coarse profiles, but we have 2 new profiles. We have a sand and a fine cavity, which is very, very good for small feed making sand. And the best part about this offering is there's no backing that we have to worry about. Backing is the epoxy, I guess you would call it, or the glue you would call it, that sits behind this piece, which we call a mantle, to keep it in place. And I'll show you the difference between what we have in the HP 300 and the HP 350 in a moment. This is the older HP 300, and this is the newer HP 350E. 85% of the parts are common between these two machines. The other 15% are either interchangeable or upgradable to the HP 300. The E-feature upgrade possibilities for HP 300 units. So we can put these parts in an HP 300 that's existing to make it more like an HP 350. So we can upgrade the HP 300 options. And let's get into them. We have enhanced kinematics. We have no backing. We have a ring bouncing monitor. And we have a head anti-spin brake. Right now, the current HP 300s do not have any of these items. So let's get into each one of them. Enhanced kinematics translates into 10% more power, more performance, 20% more force, and 17% more power, as I indicated earlier. Now, if you have an HP 300 right now, and you want to switch it over to the HP 350E options, you'd have to buy all these items, which may not be something that happens regularly. If you want more performance, if you want more production, you can change your existing HP 300 into the 350E with these items: new mainframe, new eccentric, socket. A lot of these parts have to be changed. The no backing portion of the machine. This is one of the better options that we have because we have no need for backing material. Backing material is hazardous. It has a shelf life. It's not fun to change liners using backing material. You have to wait at least 8 hours for the backing material to cure. With this machine, you unscrew the feed nut, you take the mantle off, you put the mantle back on, and you screw it back together. It's at least a 50% faster liner change, meaning it's a safer solution. Less cost due to no backing. And you can change this HP 300 into a 350E with the no backing option by buying a head assembly, a bowl assembly, and obviously the liners themselves. So you'd have to buy this part, the bowl, and then the mantle itself. Now, The no backing versus backing means the seating surface on the head is longer. Therefore, we need more metal to come in contact with the other metal, which would be the mantle, to be able to not put backing in there. So there's such a large seating surface on the head to make contact with the head and the wear surface. Anti-spin brake. This means you have less wear on the machine. This anti-spin brake, the way the HP 300 runs now is the head spins in one direction. When material hits it, it stops the head and turns the other way for crushing and production. With this machine, it just slows the head down using a spiral groove on the socket that comes in contact with another piece in the machine called an upper head bushing. And it's illustrated right here. It's almost friction. To put this anti-spin brake into this machine, all you need to do is change the socket assembly. And last but not least, we have this ring bounce monitoring system, which is very, very good in preventing crusher damage. It monitors the adjustment ring movement of an IC70 automation, which is what our automation is called. Now, what ring bounce means is it's exceeding the force of the machine. There's three limits on the crusher. It's volume, its force, excuse me, volume, force, and power. Volume, obviously, if you fill the machine, there's no room left. Power, if you exceed the force, this occurs. Ring bouncing, which can and will destroy your machine after time. This ring bounce monitor protects and analyzes the crusher by detecting adjustment ring movement and warns the operator. If you get an orange light instead of the green here, you're starting to bounce the ring. If you get a red icon, you're having problems. You're having uncrushable, which means a piece of steel, a piece of wood, a piece of rubber. Rubber can't be crushed, wood can't be crushed, steel can't be crushed. We're crushing rock. So we have an uncrushable event. That's probably not a good day. A sensor retrofit kit is all you need on your existing HP 300 to upgrade it to a ring bounce monitor. And this is what it looks like. This is the sensor, the monitoring this right here. If this is moving, this bushing could get oblong. It could damage this area because this whole piece, oh, sorry about that. This whole piece is moving. You probably can't see it, but you'll notice it on the automation because that is so sensitive, the automation will pick it up. The new crusher robust mainframe assembly is standard with the HP 350E and can also be added to an HP 300 if desired. It's compatible with old and new HP 300 crushers. And we're not sending away the HP 300. We're just adding the 350E to our portfolio. There's a feed cone lifting tool for safe and easy lifting. Excuse me. The bolt has been enlarged, 30 millimeter, 36. The weight of the 350E feed cone is about 35 pounds. And this feed cone tool can be used on any HP crusher from 200, 300, 400, 500, HP 3, 4, 5, and 6. Nothing bigger. The launch and rollout schedule. We had prototype and testing during 2023. We're going to launch this machine at Ag 1 next week. We're going to have limited machines available through 2024, but the limited availability is just for Europe and North America. Once 2025 hits, it'll be serial numbered and full production of this machine. And that's your HP 350E. We're very excited about this machine. It's quite a change from the old HP series due to all the new features, and we're ready to go with this machine. Ilka Samaro is going to be there to give you a more detailed overview of this machine next week. We'd love to see you.
Scott, it seems like the E stands for excitement.
It is excitement. There's a lot of things you can say with this E. It's a very, very exciting change. It's what you call the 2024 crusher, not the 1988 crusher. It's very, very exciting. Any questions?
You did a great job, Scott, as always.
Well,
And
thank
we
you.
appreciate you taking the time today to assist us in understanding better the product. And the E definitely is excitement, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone in Nashville.
Yeah,
So-
that is very exciting. We do have a question here from Bob Nelson.
The backingless liners, I'm assuming the way you're saying they're basically interference fit now. So I'm assuming the quality control is going to have to be much higher, or they won't fit. Is that correct?
I mean, so to say, yes. We currently have this feature on our HP 3, 4, 5, and 6s, which is a machined head and a different way for the liners to sit on that head due to the non-backing. What we really want to have is complete contact with the seating surface on the machine with the mantle, because if you don't have that, you're going to have cracks.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes, go ahead.
Scott, if we're upgrading through a sale with a 300 to a 350E, you listed the 4 different major changes. Are each one of them, can they be standalone, or do you have to do them all at one time?
Standalone.
The customer could pick one and not do the others.
Correct. If he wants the ring bounce, he can put a ring bounce monitors on his HP 300. If he wants the no backing liners, he just has to replace the head and the bowl. So it's quite an expensive option. However, if the customer doesn't want a brand new machine, we can offer these features to the existing crushers.
And on your website, do we have thorough information so we can train like our salesmen to be able to offer that?
Yeah, once it's launched, it'll be in my Metso.
Okay.
A more in-depth presentation will be in my Metso, or we can get it from me.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. We appreciate your time. We know you guys are busy. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Rich. And thanks everybody for attending, and have a wonderful weekend.
Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank
Yeah, Ag 1.
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. Safe travel.
Bye-bye. Yep.
You too. Bye-bye.
Whatever. Same thing here. If we see something out of the ordinary, we need to make sure we address that issue, whether it be something here on campus, something in our communities, or something that work in our work environment. So just be on the lookout for safety all the time. It's not just Cody, it's just not the supervisors, it's the whole team. We all hold ourselves accountable, making sure that we're keeping ourselves safe and the people around us safe, at home and here at work. So, be a good wingman, what we used to say, be a good work buddy, take care of each other, and then get out and enjoy the warm weather. I mean, tomorrow's supposed to be raining all day here in the east, so, but, I'll turn it over to you, Rich and Scott, and, the floor is all yours. Thanks for coming, Scott.